What languages do I speak? Well, apart from English, smattering of English, I have learnt a few other languages. Honestly, I do find this fairly easy. They kind of soak in and they kind of stay there forever. But I've been asked the question, so I'll tell you, and I don't mean to brag or anything like that. So many things I'm not good at. Probably my best language is Indonesian. I had to learn Indonesian. I'd never been to Indonesia before the Indian Ocean tsunami, and as a volunteer I was told, because I was with an Indonesian team, you have to learn to speak Indonesian. If you can't speak enough Indonesian to function at the coalface of this disaster, you can't come, because it was an Indonesian team, and this is the phrase, there was no spare seat on the helicopter for a translator. So me, just being me, I just went out and learned it very quickly in about 6 weeks, and got a bunch of different teachers, worked out which one could teach me the best. That was a retired doctor who'd worked up there for 12 years, was fluent in medical Bahasa, Peter Graham, also a mentor and hero of mine. And because I've been up there 20, 25, 30 times, many times to go up and work, you have to be able to drop your bag, get into a four-wheel drive and go to the site of the disaster and get working straight away. And the last time I was there, which was the Central Sulawesi tsunami, earthquake and tsunami, I'd be speaking in Indonesian the whole day, see 100 patients a day sitting on the ground, and it's pretty tiring, but you just do it, you just have to do it. Also speak pretty reasonable French. I learnt French at school, but my learning curve was kind of like this. Then I went to French camp, which was fantastic, where you had to speak French for a week. Breakfast, lunch and dinner, year 12, plus lots of girls there, and it was great fun. And that really improved my French, but done a lot of backpacking and travelling around France, and I seem to be able to recall it pretty well. And in fact, we had a bit of an issue when I was in France a month ago. We hired a boat, Jackie and I, and Jackie's brother David and his wife Alison, and for an hour. It went up and down the river in Castelnaudary for an hour, and we got back in time. And they said, they tried to cheat us out of some money, saying you'd stayed more than an hour when we'd actually timed it exactly, that we'd gone too fast, which we hadn't because we had the speedo on. That we'd gone to the wrong places, which we hadn't. Anyway, they're obviously trying to get money out of these tourists. And Alison, she's got good French, and between Alison and I, we were telling them that it's not fair and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, also speak Tok Pisin, which is the language of Papua New Guinea. I learnt that 51 years ago. Accidentally. I was working up there, but I had to really learn it because the translator, the day that I was rostered on every Friday in the emergency department, the translator was off doing something else, and the person they had there actually couldn't speak much English. So I said, well, teach me how to ask the questions. And again, I just soaked it up like a sponge. And even now, this is a funny thing, 51 years later, I could do a clinic tomorrow up in Papua New Guinea. Don't know why that is. What else? I've learnt to speak Italian as well. I learned a bit when I was young, working in factories, lots of Italians, but we were going to, a lot of Italians and a lot of Italian grandparents, etc., and parents as patients, and Jack and I were going to Italy, so I thought, why don't I learn some Italian? So I did some lessons and like to practice it. And I got smatterings of other language. I learnt some Nepali when I was there as a medical student 53 years ago, and again, that's still in there. And again, why do I care about these things? I just love to go somewhere and be able to get by talking the language. And often people's faces light up, wait staff, and that's exemplified by an incident in Sydney when Jack and I went for dinner at Darling Harbour, and this young Asian woman came to our table, and she had an accent, so when people have, if people don't have an accent, I never ask them. If they have an accent, I say, "Well, would you mind if I asked you where you're from?" She said, "From Nepal." So I spoke Nepali to her. "How are you? I love Nepal," all that sort of stuff. "How are you feeling today? Are you enjoying stuff?" She actually put her hand on her heart. Put her hand on her heart and said, "I can't believe that you bothered to learn the language of the country that I love." Anyway, we had somebody else serving the meal, etc. And then as we left, she came running out and bailed us up on the quay and said, "Again, I've got to thank you. You have made my day because you bothered to learn and speak the language of the country that I love." That's why I like to be able to do it. Partly for practical reasons. It's practical in France and it's practical in Indonesia. I don't get to speak Tok Pisin, the Papua New Guinea language, much now, except with old old hands from Papua New Guinea. And the final question is there any language I'd love to learn? I think I'd like to learn Arabic. I really would. I don't know why. There's a lot of people who speak Arabic, and again, it'd be nice to... I have learned a bit of Arabic just to say hi, how are you, and happy Ramadan, and, God willing, and all those sorts of phrases, and thank you, and that's life. But it'd be nice to be fluent in Arabic.